Hey, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into a really fascinating fictional ritual, the Neddorvar flame turn. We're going to take it all apart, piece by piece, and look at everything from its secret language to its unique sound and staging. And it all kicks off with just these three words, Sahut lesavara Neddorvar. Just let that hang in the air for a second. Now, on the surface, it might seem like just a simple greeting, but as you're about to see, it's really a key that unlocks an entire system of belief. And that really gets to the heart of what we're talking about today. I mean, what if a simple phrase, something like Happy Thursday, could be so carefully engineered that it holds the entire DNA of a philosophy, a musical tradition, and even a sacred performance? So, to figure that out, here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll look at the words themselves, then we'll get into the philosophy behind them. After that, we'll analyze the music of the chant, look at how the ritual is physically staged, and finally, we'll compare its two very, very different forms.
Okay, first things first. Let's deconstruct the greeting itself. What are we actually saying here? What do these words mean?
Well, it's basically a three-part puzzle. You've got Sahut, which is a word for joy or a blessing. Then Lesavara, which connects that joy to the divine, to a goddess's essence. And finally, Neddorvar, that literally means flame turn, which is their ceremonial name for Thursday. So if you put it all together, you get something like a joyful divine flame turn, or, more simply, Happy Divine Thursday. All right, so now that we know what the words literally mean, let's see how this simple greeting blossoms into this really complex philosophy, which is all captured in what they call the affirmation scrolls. This right here, this is the soul of the standard Thursday affirmation. It's not about being aggressive or loud with your power. It's all about a steady, internal kind of strength. Think of a flame that doesn't flicker all over the place, but just burns with this consistent, reliable heat. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Look at how that same core philosophy can be twisted just a little bit. The standard version is all about quiet authority and moving with intention. But then, you get the dark velvet version, and it takes that same idea and gives it a much sharper edge. My silence has edges. Power without spectacle. See that? The focus shifts from just a steady presence to a more strategic, controlled kind of dominance. And this quote just brilliantly captures the essence of that darker version. It's this idea of having immense power, but holding it in deliberate reserve. It's not about showing off your strength, but about knowing that potential is always there, perfectly contained and controlled. So here's the crucial thing to take away. The exact same symbol, the flame, can represent two completely different kinds of power. So you have this philosophy, but how do you turn an idea like that into actual sound? Well, that brings us to the anatomy of the chant itself, the music that gives these beliefs a voice. The entire foundation is built on two really smart choices. First, they put it in the key of D minor, which gives it this really solemn, deep, and grounded feeling. And second, the tempo is set at 72 beats per minute, which is right around the pace of a resting human heartbeat. It's literally designed to be calming, to center you, to be meditative. Now look at how this all plays out in the opening harmony. The bass just holds this steady, resonant D, completely anchoring the whole sound. But above it, the other voices are moving in these really subtle ways. The tenor pulls down just a little bit, while the soprano creates this moment of tension before resolving back. It feels exactly like the source notes describe it, like a flame inhaling. A key technique they use to achieve this is called a pedal tone. It's super simple but incredibly effective. It's just a sustained low note, in this case that low D from the bass. While that note just drones on, the other voices can shift and create all this tension and release on top of it, but you never lose that grounded, solid foundation. It's like an anchor for the sound. But of course, the sound isn't just about the notes on the page, it's about how that sound fills a room. And this brings us to the physical staging of the ritual and how they optimize it for the temple acoustics. The choir's placement is just meticulous. It's not random at all. This is pure acoustic engineering. The basses are right at the front and center, anchoring the entire room with those low frequencies. The tenors and altos fill out the middle, and then the sopranos, they're placed at the back and a little higher up, so their clear, high notes can just cascade down over everyone else. It creates this waterfall of sound. And the performance itself is governed by these really strict rules that reinforce the whole philosophy. Upright posture, no swaying, perfectly synchronized breathing. Everything is about discipline and control. And check out that last rule, no applause. The final 4 counts of silence are actually considered part of the performance, a sacred moment to just let it all resonate. Okay, so for our last piece of the puzzle, what happens when you take this solemn, perfectly controlled ritual out of the temple and drop it into the middle of the streets for a festival? Well, this is where we see one chant completely transform into 2 different worlds. I mean, this slide says it all, right? The temple chant is slow, it's internal, and it's all about personal alignment. It's a meditation. The festival chant? The complete opposite. The tempo jumps way up, the complex harmony is gone, replaced by a simple, powerful call-and response that a whole crowd can sing. The goal is no longer internal alignment, but this huge, external, celebratory feeling of unity. And driving this festival version is a totally different rhythmic engine. The quiet temple chimes are swapped out for this driving, energetic pattern, played on big frame drums and a bass drum. You could almost feel it. Dum, dum. It's a rhythm that just pulls you in and makes you want to move. And all of that brings us to our final thought. From just 3 simple words, this entire universe of meaning is born. You get a philosophy, a complex piece of music, and 2 totally distinct rituals for alignment and celebration. It really leaves us with a question, doesn't it? Why do we as people have this fundamental need to build such intricate worlds of meaning from just a few words, notes, and rules? What does it really tell us about our search for purpose?